All right, welcome, folks. Whoever might be tuned in. I am Alan Levine. You can call me Link. I don't know if I'll respond to that, but I'm here for the DML Commons. Got my wrench out. This is the open hangout for the Blog Talk Garage. The idea being that people have questions, can join in and ask questions, and we can do things like screen share and look at your blogs. I don't know if anybody's interested in that. I do have some other things that I will talk about that I can do a screen share that will be saved, and we'll go from there. I will send out a link shortly for those who may be interested in joining. I would much rather people be here inside the garage. You may notice the garage looks a little bit more like a 1970s wood-paneled house, but this is truly a garage behind me where I do all of my blog mechanics. Before I send out the invite, I just thought I would walk through a few things. The intent here is there are people who are blogging already for DML Commons, which is good. I can tell by looking at the blogs that quite a few have done this before and have experience and know what you're doing. It looks like some people are just getting their feet wet. So I don't know, in many ways, like you do with an online class, what the spectrum is of participation. I've got, since I'm a one-person show now, I got my Twitter hanging over on the side here on the iPad so I can see if any tweets come in, and oh, look, I'm looking right now. So a bunch of people retweeting, blah, 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 all very nice. But you can send questions there. I'll try to keep an eye on this. I don't know exactly how this will work out. I've done this a lot with my online classes as sort of online office hours. Students often don't show up. So generally I prepare something that I can walk through as a demonstration, and at least there'll be something in the archives that may help you if you don't happen to tune in at the time. If this timing doesn't work out, let me know somehow through Twitter or email, or knock on my door and say, hey, this is a bad time. I can certainly do other times. If this is of interest to people, I can do this on a weekly basis. I don't know. So we're just trying out some new things here. So I'm going to do about 10 minutes, if you bear with me, of a little bit of walkthrough of some things on the site that relate to the way your blogs will come into the mix. So I'm going to jump out right now and screen share. And so I may not see any activity. I will try to look over there where the tweets are coming in. But first of all, let me jump over to the DML Commons site, which hopefully quite a few of you have been spending some time now at. Of course, you get the banner of the latest events. I want to talk about things that are specific to the blogging portion of this. You will notice right below that there are words coming up that are tags. And these are actually tags that are coming from blog posts that are coming into the site. And I'll get to that in a second. But as you're doing your blogging, if you use any tags or categories or even labels, if you're on Blogger, on your own site, when they come into DML Commons, they all get converted to tags on this site. So if I clicked on, say, methods and theories, this is going to pull up all posts that have come into our site that people have written and have used this tag on their specific blog posts. So thinking about using tags as you're writing is a good way to sort of help to bring some sense making to the DML Commons site as a lot of work comes in. Most of you are probably tuning in to trying to follow what's going on by the front page. And the folks at UC Irvine, Anna especially, has done a really neat job by creating what we call a masonry, or the sort of front. This is sort of the latest stuff that's come in. We're bringing both tweets with the DML Commons tag. Those have the little Twitter icon, obviously. The thing with the pencil icon are some of the latest blog posts. So a quick scan that probably people may do if you just want to filter out the blog post and you click that, you will see that these are all the latest blog posts that have come in that have been added to the site. You will notice that some of them have pictures, like Ken Bowers with the bunny rabbit, which he said had nothing to do with his post. And then I see Rafi Santo and and Dixie, who posted a site on their blog about the work that they did with their webinar last week. If you use at least one image in your post, it will show up within the flow here as that icon, and it takes the first image. Sometimes it doesn't always work out. Sometimes you get like a blank GIF or something like that, but it kind of helps on this front page to have a nice graphic. So if you're blogging, I encourage you strongly to use images in your post. Now, that's not going to be changing all the time, and so it's maybe not efficient to be staring all the time at the front page. You can, under calendar, or sorry, under timeline, we segregated, so everybody who signed up to be on the professional pathways with their blog post will come in, and this will show the latest posts that have come in for everybody who's associated themselves with the professional pathways strand. These are linear, and again, it's the latest stuff first. And you can also go over and see the ones going on in design research. Again, these are sort of the post, and if you click on any of the links, you'll actually go out to the original blog post that was written. This one from Jamie Graval, she's written her intro and a bio. I can look at this, you know, there's some things I can talk about already, like you notice it's in uncategorized, so maybe we'd want to help Jamie sort of understand the power of creating categories to organize things on your blog. Internally, it helps things organize. And she's written a nice little intro. She's a second-year doctoral student. You can read what's going on here. She's talked about her interest. You know, I might suggest consider using an image. It may not be appropriate. I always use images as sort of a metaphor. It's not critical, but it kind of tends to make your blog stand out. And one thing that we want to encourage people is to visit these blogs and add comments. So comment is part of the discussion. But I want to make sure that you understand that when you click on any links to people's blog posts, what you get here is a copy of it on the DML comments site, but all links actually go back to the original post. What I will do later is, if nobody decides to phone in to the Blog Garage and bring their questions, I'm going to go through and look at some of the blogs that people have published and talk about some of the different platforms that we see people doing. So if you haven't done this yet, the place to get started is right there at the top, connect your blog. This is a form where we ask you some questions that will help get your blog connected to the DML Commons site. If you're new to this, check out the Getting Set Up page where I talk about some of the platforms and some of the considerations, such as thinking of a name. The key thing, and if you want to see who has a blog on the site, this will list. Right now, we have about 34 blogs that have been added to the site. The first link will actually take you out to the main blog URL for the site, but if you just wanted to see, say, Amanda is blogging on Medium, which is kind of an interesting platform. If you click on the right-hand link, this will list all of the posts that have been syndicated. Amanda, you only have one post. What's going on here? Into the site. And just to reiterate, as a method of understanding, I'm going to come back to my Hangout and stop screen sharing, is that the way we are working this is what we've called connected course, is what, the way this is being run. What we did last fall with the connected courses course that the DML organized, which was a connected course about running connected courses. We get kind of meta. But the point is that people do their writing, their thinking, their blogging about the course in their own digital space. And it could be anything. It can be a self-hosted WordPress site. It can be on blogger.com. Well, we see that people are using Medium, Tumblr, etc. So you can choose the platform that you want to do regular writing about your work. When you add it to the connected courses, the DML Commons Hub, there's a special little web address, and I don't want to get all too crazy technical, but if you want to learn all about RSS, I can go down that route of that. It basically is a way of your blog telling our site, hey, there's a new post. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that we only check your site once a day. We don't want to be rude and constantly like taxing your web server or your blog saying, do you have anything new? So once an hour, the DML Commons site will come knocking at your door and they'll say, Hey, Rafi, do you have a new blog post today? And Rafi's blog will say, no, I haven't written anything since yesterday. All right, I'll come back in an hour. Come back in an hour. You got a new blog post today? Rafi's blog will say, hey, yeah, I just wrote something about 30 minutes ago. Here it is. Here's the title. Here's the content. Our site says, okay, we're going to bring a copy of that and add it to the DML Commons. So we're only checking your site once an hour. So if your blog post doesn't show up in the DML Commons site, give it at least an hour because there is at least that amount of delay. If it still doesn't show up, let me know, Cogdog on Twitter, and there may be something else technical going on. So that's a little bit of the infrastructure. I'm going to stop and copy this and see if I can send this link out on Twitter for anybody. Well, I see there's 2 people watching, so if one of the 2 people want to join in, I will make this available. So, and I see Ken has a question. This multitasking thing is really hard when you're only one person. It was great having that whole crew in the garage for our opening session because Howard was helping steer things from behind the scenes. People were monitoring the Twitter. I will bring back the Blog Brothers and Blog Sisters if they're interested, if we do this again. So I'm not trying to hog the stage here, but I can't really type and talk to join the DML Commons Blog Talk Garage. Join, just say join Twit. Here is the key to the back door. I'll say front door. Back door is so if you do want to join the Hangout, this link will actually open it up. And of course, there's this crazy thing where you don't know exactly what will happen. Oh, Ken wanted it. All right. So Ken's going to join in. This is pretty cool. So I've actually been tweeting a lot with Ken, and I've never actually talked to him. So I will hopefully get Ken in. I will try to handle some questions people have are going to be rather complicated. They want to deal. I know Jeff has a lot of questions. We've gone back and forth. He really wants to reshape his blog. So I might have to defer some things that might require me taking some more time to look if it's a specific technical issue. But if you have a conceptual issue, or if you're just brand new to this, like I don't know where to start, or I really don't like the way my blog looks, or is this the way I should be blogging? I can try to give an opinion, but the Blog Garage is open. Ken Bauer is in the house.
I'm trying to make sure I have my camera set up and everything.
You have like a shield of immunity.
Yeah, got to switch to cameras. Awesome.
And now Google Hangout is doing something. Oh, I'm getting your effects. Hola.
There we go. Hey.
Me llamo Alan. I'm working on my Spanish.
Awesome. Awesome. Good. Thanks. So I didn't catch the beginning because these students wanted to learn and stuff, and they showed up in my office. Damn students.
Pesky students.
Oh, well. So I had a question. So
wait a minute. By the way, it's great to finally meet you. We've been talking on Twitter all the time. Totally.
This is the thing with these Twitter hangouts. Like you meet people, but you've already met them.
Yeah, but talking to them is different. This is
awesome.
As much as I might complain about the way Google Hangouts, like I never quite exactly know what I'm doing in there. To me, it's like my favorite form of having this because of the way the camera will switch depending on who's talking.
Except when you forget and you put the focus on someone, you forgot to switch the focus. I noticed that a few times. Yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
Cool. No, I love this part. Actually, for the courses I've been running with my faculty and then the courses I'm running right now, I'm not using Google Hangouts with my students, but I'm using a lot with faculty training because we have 30-something campuses across the country. Mm-hmm. And I found that once I can convince people to get on the Google Hangouts, it's just awesome. I mean, it just generates a different level of community that you just can't get trying to comment on people's blog posts, and so I think that's key in these courses I'm giving, but I'm having a hard time getting people to do it.
Yeah, well,
they're just shy.
I mean, to me, one of the greatest things is like not only seeing and hearing the person, but I get to see the room in which they do their work. So it looks like you're standing at a desk in an office, and I'm curious about the poster on your back wall.
That's a Scott Johnson poster at the back. The guy who does a whole bunch of stuff. But anyway, I'll
and you got to work on that Rubik's Cube, obviously.
Yeah, actually, that's an original Rubik's Cube from when I was in elementary school in the 80s. And some of my students come in and they know how to solve it, so they solve it, but I can't even remember.
All right, a blog question. Let's get to that.
So one thing I was thinking is how to, so we can use Feed WordPress to bring in all of the blog posts and show them however you want. What about comments? About getting a comments feed going too. I was really trying to think on how to get that to work.
Yeah, well,
sounds like a project.
Comments are interesting. I built a comment reader for the Thought Vectors course that I worked on with Gardner Campbell last year. The thing is, for comment, you can get feeds for comments from WordPress blogs and bloggers.
Some of them, but not all of the types of blogs.
Yeah, so you can get it from anything that's WordPress.com or self-hosted.
Right.
Anything from, I didn't know this, but Blogger has a feed for theirs.
Cool. Because I know Known doesn't.
Known doesn't. But I bet if you ask Ben, he'll do it.
Oh, he will. He'll yell at me and then he'll do it.
He'll yell.
He's fast. He's great. Ben's great.
I may just for the heck of it try to rebuild the one I did for Thought Vectors. Basically, I was able to write a script that could take the OPML, which is sort of like the export of all the blogs, and parse it and look for all the ones that had a WordPress or a Blogger. Because in the feed WordPress information, it does track what the platform is.
Yeah.
So you can say, like, once you know what blogs they are, you can figure out by the formula what their feed URL is for comments.
Right.
So I was able to do that, and it worked pretty well. So it just will take a day or two of trying to remember what I did before, but I can send you the link later for the one I did for Thought Vectors.
Cool.
Because that's been an elusive issue for all the time. How do you track comments? And you know, some blogs don't have them, and some of them you can't get at the data. I don't know for blogs that use Disqus. I always say Disqus, but I mean, Disqus does sort of keep them in their own place, but I don't know how you aggregate them as well.
Yeah, it's hard to get it out.
And so comments are messy. They're important, but they're messy. But I definitely know why you would want to be able to.
Yeah, I want to drive the engagement into the comments as opposed to just throwing out the. I mean, like yesterday, your comment on my post was bigger than my post, so I haven't got back to answering you. And the concept of metaphor is great actually, because I'm a software engineer by training, and I follow agile methodology and extreme programming in that group. And then there's a whole bunch of analogies that I want to put between what is software development and agile programming and education. I've got a whole bunch of blog posts pending on that. But they talk about metaphor, or Kent Beck does in extreme programming, and that methodology of software development, why metaphor is important in that area, how to communicate. And so I like that you brought up metaphor. So I got to put a comment on there, but I've been busy. Well, it's my birthday, so I'm busy today.
Hey, happy birthday! I should learn how to say it. How do I say that in Spanish?
Feliz cumpleaños.
I got to work on this.
But you have to come down to Guadalajara, and then we can take you out for tequila.
Well, we'll talk offline, but I think that's happening.
Yeah, awesome.
That's gonna be really good. I just sent the link in Twitter to the VCU one I did, because I even did things like being able to see which post had the most comments.
Right, that'd be fun. I mean, that's where you can just geek out and try to drive people, and even like drive people to the ones that don't have comments. There's all sorts of fun stuff you can do there, besides just doing random posts.
Right, and I did want to. That's one of the things I forgot to talk. I did a little walkthrough just showing people on the DML Commons where their stuff comes in. But I do have this thing. If you just put after the URL dmlcommons.net/random.
Yeah.
That's a thing that generates a random post. So if you don't know where to comment, sometimes it's just fun to do that. And a shout out to Greg McVary, who's been really super active. Every time I go to comment on a post, it's like he's already been there. But it's always an uphill battle, which you probably know, in getting people engaged in the commenting process. And so I think I said last time, it's really important to do it early in a connected course. So people don't get that dejected feeling of like, I'm writing and nobody's listening. And so those first rounds of early comments go such a long way.
Right.
Which I know you know, but it's also a lot of work.
So what about the other side of it, Alan? That I don't know if you wrote it. Someone wrote it that if you got to kind of hold back as the instructor of the course to jump in on comments because you kind of kill the conversation.
You can, because you know, people do sort of look at you as the voice.
Right.
So like, I would say in those first rounds, I'm not trying to really talk like as much as the instructor of conveying information as just sort of someone saying, hey, I like what you're doing here, or
Keep
welcome, and sort of it's being the host part of it. But that's an interesting dynamic to think about. I guess it depends on the tone of the comments that you put in there. So, you know, my thing is, and you know, how do you get people to understand what's constructive? And so, you know, it's the ones that you like to get is one thing, but it's, you know, something more than nice post and something less than you know, a reaming teardown and a personal attack. And so there's a broad spectrum in between. So, like anything where you have to read something, it takes a lot of time to process a post. So, you know, for like your post, I saw one thing that I could latch onto it as a Gardner Campbell nugget of an idea. Right. And so that's why I jumped on, you know, metaphor.
Awesome.
And there's the thing too, which you may notice. Sometimes you find yourself writing one of those long comments that could be a post. So sometimes there's this point where you say, I think I'll put this as a comment on my blog and put the URL in the comment.
Indie web it together.
Yeah.
Totally. Awesome. So what else were you explaining that I missed here?
No, I'm just showing people where the posts come in as far as the front masonry, and they've added there's like a tag cloud. So that is coming from anything on the syndicated blogs that uses a tag or a category. So a lot of people don't know why they should add tags when they're writing in the beginning. You know, it does help internally on your own blog if you do free-form tagging. And then, of course, the question comes up, especially in WordPress. My WordPress blog lets me do categories and tags. Which should I use? And you could go either way.
Or inline hashtags in the post, which should get picked up as well.
That could too. And so there's like no authoritative answer. It's something that you develop. I tend to think of categories as being kind of big, broad buckets.
Me too.
Ways that I want to organize things, and then tags I use as kind of free form that can sort of cut across. So it could even be like I could have a half-baked tag for anything I write that's a half-baked idea.
Right.
But if you start doing this from the beginning and sort of over-graciously tag and categorize your own content, later down on the line when you start to sort of see a need to self-organize, you might be faced with this task of having to go back and try to categorize stuff, and then you just say, oh, forget about it.
I think it's better to not overthink it and just do it as it goes and organically grow that.
Yeah, and that's why you know, tagging, to me, it's like free form, because you know, you could be very descriptive. I've seen some really fun things with the UMW students who used to be in a grade class taught by Claudia Emerson. They almost got into conversations with ridiculous tags, and it almost became like a somewhat of a meta conversational level of the blogs. I don't know how she generated this, but her students would just create these ridiculous. It's like people do in Twitter sometimes, where they create these really long hashtags.
It's sort of hashtags.
Yeah, and it's sort of a conversational thing. It doesn't really, you know, it may not be scholarly or whatever, but it's sort of a subtle, interesting way to experiment with some conversation.
Cool. Actually, I was thinking about it when I went to post about the course on DML Common, Professional Pathways. I just asked the hashtag, just hoping it would come up. I don't think there are between the two courses.
Yeah, and well, one of the things that we're going to add, some people said, what if I want to be in both tracks? So
sure.
As soon as yeah, well, they're going to. I modified the code, but I have to wait for someone to get on to check out the GitHub. It's a long story, but by the end of the week, hopefully, you'll be able to designate both tracks. You know, some of the stuff you have to sort of modify and invent as you go along. There are some ways. You know, we used to do this a lot in DS-106. Is ask people for a specific assignment to use a specific tag, and it's a way you can sort of aggregate, see who everybody has done. the gym groom GIF assignment if you ask them to use a specific tag in their post. And so, for people who are teaching in a connected course, or for people who are doing the teaching in the two DML Commons pathways, if there are specific assignments that you want students to do or participants, you could say, look, tag your response to the Bauer essay as Bauer monologue.
Or whatever, yeah.
So, yeah, and that creates a URL on the site that automatically, dynamically generates the latest posts that have that tag, and so
exactly.
It becomes a nice organizer on the aggregation site. Of course, if people remember to use the tags in their posts. But as a teacher, you can make that a requirement.
Right. I think for that, what I've learned this semester, because the first semester I'm doing this, is that it works well to get students to talk to each other, but you don't want to make it mandatory, because it's just a pain in the ass. But I find, and I've noticed my students seeing, I don't know how the hell to do this assignment, and then they click that hashtag for that assignment. And I actually use the same one for my Python and C++, and they go, I see how they did it in C++, and it's kind of like Python, and then they learn, and they're like, yeah, this is exactly what I want. It's not cheating.
Yeah, you can put a link to that tag in the post for your assignment, so it's a way of students to see if their work is showing up.
Yeah.
It probably takes a couple iterations for people, especially if it's their first time doing a blog. To remember to do the tag thing. I haven't always been like terribly consistent in doing it every week, but I try to think about it a lot because it does add. It's a low overhead for you to sort of add that as a piece of your assignment, and it does sort of do something with the aggregation rather than just having this one clump of blog post. And that's why I've always tried to emphasize, doing these connected courses. If you can think about the ways you want to categorize the content that people are doing. So, for this one, they just wanted the kind of the design research and professional pathway switch. But there's all kinds of things that, we could ask on the sign-up form. We could ask, what kind of, level of education are you? Are you higher ed or K-12? Or what region of the world are you in? Or so anything that you ask are things that I program into the form that end up being tagged categories that automatically get added to everybody's post, and that's the real power of doing feed WordPress. But it's hard to get people to understand that sometimes.
Yeah, I kind of did that in the course I was doing for faculty now, and I put those questions out front thinking I would categorize, but there wasn't that many people participating, so there was no need to really do it.
Yeah, well, it doesn't always work out.
Exactly, because I'm looking at, let's see, on my courses one I'm doing, I've got 85 students, 85 feeds, and 2,461 posts.
Wow.
So categorization becomes important there. I didn't even bother going into working it. I just put a tag cloud up. And it works for my students. So I can't be bothered to put more effort into something else.
And how's it for you to have to keep an eye on 85 blogs?
RSS feeds help, but honestly, I tell my students this, I'm not going to read every single blog post. It's just not going to happen. I'm going to randomly pick some, check they did it, and in their binary, did it, mark for it. And the ones that I know that need my help, I go and I look at their stuff. Because the way I teach now, I'm more in class with my students. I know which ones need me, which ones don't so much, so I can go and look at their stuff and put comments. But yeah, it's a lot.
And I was, if nobody shows up, I'm going to do a little demo of getting the feed from the DML Commons site.
Cool.
For people who may want to do that, because definitely the feed reader is the only sane way to manage anything more than a handful of blogs. And I did the same thing for comments, when I was teaching, specifically because that was essential for me to be able at least to scan so I'd know what students were commenting or what comments they were getting on their blogs.
Yeah, I want to look at what Laura's doing with her use of InnoReader and RSS feeds for her courses.
Yeah, that's a powerful platform. I haven't really done much with it. But she's going to be part of a panel that I organized for DML conference in June.
Awesome.
I think we call it like running an open course without spending a lot of money. So it's the WordPress feed aggregator. Ben and Eric are going to be there from Known to talk about what they're doing with syndication.
Excellent.
Tim Owens is going to be there to talk about some of the stuff he's doing with Reclaim. And Jonathan Worth with his stuff from Phonar.
Cool.
So it's like, you don't need $1 billion or $1 million or $100,000 to run a connected course.
No, do it from my office here.
It might be nice to have much money. I don't know what I would do.
It'd be nice to have some funds and some assistance. I actually tried to farm off the checking the blog post to my. I have some student assistants, but I stopped it because I was getting disconnected from my course. So I decided I need to look at these myself, even if I don't look at them all.
Yeah.
So I stopped that like 4 weeks in.
Yeah.
So I'll write up some comments I have at the end of my course on how it went. To give some people some feedback about how it went.
Well, cool. I mean, you're doing amazing work, and it's great to have you in this.
No, thanks to you guys. Thanks for finding you guys. I'll let you go through your demo, Alan, and I'm gonna take off because I got to go do some lunch with the kids.
Okay. Remind me again. How do I wish you a happy birthday, Ken?
Feliz cumpleaños.
Feliz cumpleaños.
No, don't say anos because that's a totally different thing without the enye.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you about that later.
Okay.
Accents are important. All right. Cool. Thanks, bud. And thanks for all the work you're doing. It's great.
Sure. Talk to you later,
Cheers,
Ken.
Alan.
So Ken Bauer joining us from Guadalajara, Mexico, and first time I get to meet him. I see Amanda tweeting, like, it'd be good if you could join this. I'm interested in talking about what Medium is like as a blog platform. So, again, the URL for people who may want to drive into the garage, just come on back, one back. There's at least 3 people out there who are watching, or at least they opened this in a tab and then muted it and then went on to do something more important. I will do some stuff as demo just to have this in the archive. Again, don't know exactly what will work best for people who maybe there are no blog questions. Maybe we have a perfect blog understanding. I will go into screen share mode. If someone does join, yell out because I won't be able to see this window. I should hear you ding, but I will try to entertain any questions about blogging or the meaning of life or complex mathematical theory. Oh, I just lost a viewer. Bye. And with that, I think I'll just do a little bit of just browsing to see what kind of blog action that we have going here. So let me line up my particular little tip here for people doing Google Hangouts. If you want to avoid doing the inception thing when you start screen sharing in Google Hangouts, that thing where the first screen you share is a Google Hangout and it goes wah, wah, wah. Actually, I kind of like that, and I like Inception as a movie. But what I do is, it's not always clear, but if you have your Google Hangouts window in its own browser window and all your other stuff in another browser window, you can pick which window to share, so you don't necessarily have to pick the one with your Hangout in it. So right now I'm going to click over to screen share, and I'm going over to a tab in my other browser window, and you do not get to enjoy any of the crazy Inception type activity. But if you do want to join in the Hangout, if you got a question, if you want to complain, or if you have any other sort of thing, if you want to talk about the decor in my garage, the URL is somewhere in the DML Commons tweet stream. Otherwise, I'm just going to go through and we're going to look at some blog action. This again is going to the list of dmlcommons.net, all blogs. These are all blogs that have been added to the site. So we have some people using Medium, which is kind of an interesting platform. You may not think about Medium as a blogging platform, but I'm going to choose Matt Raffalaus because he was actually the first one to try Medium during Connected Courses. And I actually didn't even know at the time that you could use Medium does have an RSS feed, which is the thing that allows us to connect his Medium site, will be called a blog, to the aggregator site. In fact, there was a technical issue last fall that Medium must have cleared up, because now their feeds do work. So there is an RSS feed that allows people to get things from Medium. So this is Matt's collection of everything that he's written on Medium. Now, it's sort of blog-like because it's going to list his things he's written in reverse chronological order. He's looks like he's written something twice. Or no, it's latest stories. He's got a featured story at the top. So everything that you write on Medium looks like a blog post. You know, you got a title and you got the things that he's written. The thing about Medium that's pretty nice is that it's got commenting at the paragraph level, which so you can actually target your comments to a very specific part of what Matt's written. And then you can recommend and you can share, etc. I don't know, it looks like Medium does have tags, which is interesting. The thing about Medium, unlike other blog platforms, we can only syndicate everything that Matt writes. So if he decides to use his Medium site to start writing about his meatloaf recipes or his skateboarding adventures, there's no way to segregate that out. Well, there's a complex technical way, but there's no really easy way to split that out. So everything that he writes on Medium is going to come in to the aggregated site. I'm intrigued now that they have tags. So Medium has tags. So if people are writing in Medium, Amanda, and I think there's a couple others, you might want to consider adding a DML Commons tag, because this URL, medium.com/tag/DML Commons, is sort of one way you can sort of aggregate in Medium if everybody uses that particular tag. But there's a lot to be said for Medium. There's some, you know, I have some sort of questions about it because, again, it's being stored completely on someone else's site. And so you don't necessarily have easy access if you want to reclaim that for yourself. There are ways you can blog on your own site and have it published in Medium. Medium is an evolving space, and it's kind of hip and popular right now. It's very, it's actually very nicely laid out and easy on the eyes. It's simplified. You don't have a lot of things cluttering up Medium, like sidebars and Twitter feeds and kind of stuff that you can see on people's blogs. So Medium is an approach that you can use for writing with DML Commons, and we can see that, let's see, Amanda is writing on Medium. We already looked at hers. Andres, oh, I'm going to terribly mangle your name, so I'll just say Andres. So it's kind of nice. He's got a nice header graphic. I can see some interest in old technology, which, as a user of turntables, I highly respect. And he's got El Mundo, so a new Medium blog. So pretty much Andres has sort of established his space here on Medium and is, I hope, heavily, deeply thinking now about the kind of blogging that he might do. There are things on Medium that you can do as affordances, and so you will see. Let me just see. Maybe I can pull up some of my, not to brag about mine. Oh, look, I have a bunch of untitled stories. There's a grass. So I just wrote something about records, but Medium lets you do this thing by putting like a big, nice background image to your header. The formatting is generally pretty the same. Some people call this kind of a mono, like, dictator, because you don't really have a lot of control over the formatting, but it gives a clean formatting. But you can do things like have images that stretch all the way across the page, which make for a nice layout. So I'm rather a fan of what Medium is doing. It's sort of an interesting way to present your work in a clean, readable format. Let's see what other kind of blogs. So we have Anna in school, who is using Tumblr. Some people don't necessarily think of Tumblr as a blogging platform, but it certainly does give you the ability to publish in a format of blog-like, where it's written post, or a lot of times it's just media first. But Anna's got, oh my God, I'm on the front page, which means that her blog did get syndicated. And she has some really good comments here about what to blog about. This is the great kind of things that we like to see in DML Commons. So she's got a couple of posts in here. This is all good. One thing I want to check, the thing about Tumblr that is kind of curious is that, unlike most other blog platforms, and you can see it here. There's no way, the only thing you can do is I can favorite it, so I will do a little heart thing, but I can't write a comment on Tumblr because Tumblr by default doesn't have comments built in. There is a way you can add comments with a system called Disqus, or I think it's Disqus, and I will show you that if you're interested. I will just check the Twitters right now to see what's going on. Jeff and Greg are just talking about DBR, which is good stuff. So if you want to add, let's see, I put up a Tumblr blog. Let's see where I got so many tabs here. I don't have which one did you just register? So okay, this is a blog I have, or mainly I just actually cross post a bunch of photos. I even forgot how I set this up, but I don't have any comments enabled on this Cogdog Tumblr blog. So it's just a picture. There's a lot of times when you see it on Tumblr, it's just a picture or a GIF. It's kind of a different space, and that's why some people don't necessarily think about it as a blogging platform, but it does have everything you might need if you do want to write a lot about broken watches and time zones, etc. So there's a service called Disqus, and you've probably seen it a lot of times when you comment on other people's blogs. So what you want to do if you want to add comments to almost any blog platform, in fact, you can replace the commenting features of other blog platforms with the one that Disqus does. So you would create an account. I'm already logged in, disqus.com. And there's a thing where you can sort of add under, let's see, add Disqus to site. So if I want to add Disqus to site, I'm going to call the name of my site. I'll just, can I even use the name? I'm fumbling around terribly on Google Hangout. So I'm going to call it Cogdog Blog. It's a terrible name. And then what you need to do is create sort of a unique URL. Generally, it might be the URL for it. I can't necessarily use Cogdog blog, so I just might use, this is sort of like a tag, if you will, or an identifier that Disqus can sort of say, this is where all the comments will be stored. Category, I will call this entertainment because I think I'm pretty entertaining. So I already have a Disqus account for some other blogs. So basically, you're sort of registering a name for my Disqus blog. I'm going to say finish registration. So then it's going to come here and say, okay, what kind of site do you want to put this on? And you can see all the different sites that Disqus can work with. So I'm on a Tumblr blog, and it's going to give me the instructions that I need to use. So what's important, and I'll share a video later that explains how to do this. Actually, I had to watch it again to get myself reminded, is copy that short name. This is the name that you create as sort of a handle for your blog. And you can follow this link here, and you have to get into the Tumblr interface. Instead, I'm going to go back to my Tumblr blog, and I'm going to go to dashboard. And so I'm logged into Tumblr. This allows me to get to my dashboard, and I'm going to go under here, and let's see. Oh, I already forgot how to get to the settings. Customize. So now I'm in the dashboard. I have about 4 Tumblr sites, so you want to make sure that you're using the right one. That is the right one. If you scroll way down on the left, there's a thing called Advanced Options. And let's see. Oh, that's not there. Where is the Disqus thing? Disqus short name right here. So I want to edit my theme options. And I completely got myself messed up. So let me go back again. Great demo. I should have practiced before I did this, but hey, things get messy in the garage here. So edit theme, Disqus short name. Oh, it's just a cursor. So I'm going to paste that in there. That's the identifier that says for my Tumblr blog, that's the Disqus thing I set up, should be created for. It connects Disqus as a commenting system to my Tumblr blog. So now, if I go back to my Tumblr blog, And I always get the URLs messed up here. So that Tumblr, oh, what a terrible demo. Now, if I go into a particular entry, you can see at the bottom now it's coming up. Come on, come on. It's probably syncing for the first time. But from now on, I now have a discus comment thing at the bottom of every Tumblr post. And I can say, this is great. I am so happy I can comment. That's kind of like the worthless kind of commenting that's probably you don't want to do. But you can add to a Tumblr blog, but you actually have to go through these couple of steps. If you didn't really follow that, check with the forums in the Blog Talk Garage. I can go through that. But comments are really important. And so because Tumblr, it's a great platform to use. It's really friendly to Medium. It's hip with the kids. But it also doesn't necessarily give you the ability to get comments on your site by default. If you're participating in this kind of course, you pretty much do want to have comments coming into your site. So let's see what some other kind of blogs that we have. So Coaches Coaching. I've never seen, haven't looked at this blog yet, relatively new. Great name. I like the idea, Coaches Coaching. It kind of doesn't say like DML, DMBR, Spring 2015. Coaches Coaching is sort of a name for the site that can actually be used ongoing past the scope of the DML Commons classes. So this is interesting. Kara and Sarah are working together at the University of Illinois, and they're sort of probably participating in DML Commons. So they're going to do a blog together. That's a great idea to do a blog together. You can split the work, or you can produce twice as many things. Theirs is hosted on WordPress.com. And so there are things, they have their introduction post. We're very excited. So sort of basic, welcome to the site. And they've added that there. So you can see WordPress.com is free. It's easy to use. You get just about most of the important features that WordPress offers in a platform that you don't really have to manage all the nuts and bolts. There are some limitations as to what you can do. They have a really good selection of themes. I often send that as sort of the blog platform for people to start with, because you get a lot of the flexibility of WordPress. If you decide later that you want to eventually host it on your own site, really easy to transfer into a self-hosted WordPress. We can help people with that. So think about, like, for people, again, this thing about the RSS feed. So coachescoaching.wordpress.com is the URL for their site. The RSS feed that we need when you sign up your blog, and for a site completely devoted to DML Commons, the magic box link on the form will actually work for this. But the feed, actually in a WordPress site, you just put /feed on the end. This is what RSS looks like. And I'm like, oh my God, it looks like code. I'm getting away. You don't have to understand what's going on here. But this is basically a summary of everything that is coming from the blog that Kara and Sarah are doing. So here, an item is one blog post. So we get the title. There's the title there. There's the link to it. There's a bunch of other stuff related to comments. We get a short summary, and then we get the full blog post. It's a bunch of HTML. This is what the DML Commons site is actually reading, so it knows how to grab your blog post from this RSS feed. All right, it is now 10 minutes of, I'm not seeing anything in the Twitter about people wanting to see some stuff. Let me just see if I can find another platform. Here's one on Blogger. Blogger works really well if you're in the Google universe. It's certainly versatile. They have, I don't think their themes, some of them aren't as bad. I'm a little bit WordPress biased, but you can do a lot with the Blogger platform. A little bit harder to find your RSS feed, but gc-coe-dml commons, I can sort of guess what this is about. You know, I might want to do something like adding maybe a page, which is sort of a static template that allows you, or even with the introduction of maybe their first post, there's an about.me, but I don't know if that really is going to say anything. So my sort of suggestion for this site is like maybe consider giving your title of your blog something that's a little bit more descriptive, because I really don't know what GC-COE-DML Commons is right now. That's interesting. I'm getting a reminder to start my Google Hangout. I sure hope I didn't get my time zones mixed up. So that would be my suggestion for this blog, and explore some things you can do within the Blogger interface that allow you to customize things on the sidebar, so you can add some information like maybe a link to DML Commons, or a Twitter widget, or maybe a photo or a cat GIF. But you can use that sidebar space to customize your blog and keep on blogging. So so here's the kind of a basic. So a good article on how design thinking is used by an institution. So sharing a link is really good, but in terms of a blog post, I would like to see a little more context. Like, first of all, what is it about this design thinking article to you made it worth sharing, or what does it connect to you, or what was a takeaway that you got from this? So sharing links is great. We generally like to see a little bit more about maybe why are you sharing of are your links. So like right now I see Kylie Pepper, Dr. Pepper, boy I love that Twitter name, is tweeting, so what are your DML Commons highlights of the week? Anything surprising, interesting, or inspiring? Perfect sort of lead for a type of blog post. So one thing that, when I teach my connected type courses, I have my students write sort of weekly recaps, which is more than just saying, here's the link to my assignment, here's a link to this. I ask them to sort of revisit their work for this week with a couple questions and sort of what stands out with them, or what was a struggle, what did they find success in, what was unexpected. So kind of a reflection. We all know what reflection is, but sort of a self-reflective essay on the things that you did that week, because in the week that you're doing your work, this stuff really stands out. A couple weeks from now, it's going to start to blur together, and you're going to start to get weeks 4 and 5 mixed up. A couple months later, you're going to say, I remember that course where I was doing something with design thinking. And so the more context and or refining and revisiting and reflecting you can add to your own blog, the more you're able to sort of reinforce your own memory and record keeping of the work that you're doing. Let's see what else we got. Let's look at Ken's blog, because he was just on here. He's got a great blog going. Just started interacting with Ken Bauer a couple months ago. So he's got a nice graphic on his blog here. This is a blog on teaching and technology. This is a pretty nice theme that he's got going. I like what happens here is you get the scroll up on the left, so you kind of get the it's a narrow reading column, but it works very well on visual. And I think if you view this on mobile, what I'm doing here is I'm changing my web browser width. This is telling me that it's a responsive theme. Oh, someone's in the Hangout. You got a question? I think it looks like Paul. But responsive themes are ones that resize themselves on different platforms. So this is how Ken's blog would look on probably like a mobile, like an iPhone. And then as I stretch it out wider, you can see if I get certain width, it starts to flip to this. So this is really the modern way to do websites. So Ken has a really good post here. He's got his blog will have his most recent post on the top, and these other blog that he's posted he's written below. I'm going to flip back to my Hangout because we got someone in the room here. Hello, Paul. Do you have your ear? I recognize Paul Awancio, but he's just smiling with a guitar behind him and his icon. So probably saw my tweet, and he's saying, "What the heck is just listening? Listening is valid." I am taking blog questions, but it's almost top of the hour, and this is a little bit of an experiment about sort of running some open office hours for people who are just starting blogging for DMLcommons.net, a project that I'm involved with as the chief blog mechanic and responsible for getting people's blogs aggregated to the site. So we're just taking some time, hopefully each week, that people might have questions. I had a good time talking to Ken Bauer earlier. And it'd be nice if people join me, because I really don't like talking that much for an hour, and I certainly can bore myself. So it would be great to have a conversation. Anybody else out there on listening right now? Any tips for people new to blogging, or things to help people get started? Any questions you have? Things you wish you could do on your blog that you can't, or if you're still wondering why the heck am I doing this, I can make up stuff and tell you. And the garage door is open, and I'm looking out the bays there, and I'm not really seeing anybody on the street. So again, this is a new thing that we're trying here. Maybe the timing is not convenient for people. Obviously, people are always doing other things at the same time. So some of it's a matter of trying to pick an appropriate time for doing this stuff. I'll give this a go next week, and maybe try a different time of day if there is a time of day that people want. Maybe I need to get some of my other blog brothers and sisters back, because they're probably more of a draw than I am in terms of having some faces on here. It'd be really great to have people just talking about what they're doing or what they're thinking about as sort of an open video chat here in the garage. I can pull up plenty of stools, and there's lots of tools back there in the toolbox if people want to have a little prop to play with. This is really this is my favorite tool, are the Robo grips, man. I was just using this week when I was replacing my bathroom faucet, and it was indispensable. This is my WordPress. This is my WordPress. This little thing here, this is Blogger. This is WordPress. I show my bias. Sorry, I have a terrible bias towards my platform here. I don't have a whole lot to say. I was going to do a little bit of a demo on feed readers, but got kind of carried away. So I can certainly queue that up for next week as a way to sort of manage. And Ken and I just talked a bit about, he teaches a course where he's reading, he has 85 student blogs, and it's not really feasible for one person to go visit blogs on a regular basis and see what's new. So that's where taking advantage of the affordances of this RSS stuff is what we will show you, excuse me, next week, then, since I ran out of time, about how you can set up an account on a site like I use Dig or Feedly or Rhino Reader, and you can be able to, I'll just show you quickly. I'll give you, this is the teaser for next week. So I will go back to my sharing, and so let's see where it is. That's not this. That's not it. This is what happens when Alan gets too many windows open. So I use Feedly. So Feedly is a site that allows RSS reader, and I was able to import. This is for the group of faculty I was working with at Thompson Rivers University, and I'm able to subscribe, if I flip this blog open, to about 20 different blogs. And this interface here just shows me quickly, everything in bold, it's been a while since I read, are new. And so I can just look through this, and someone's talking about stress. I can use a shortcut key. I'm just hitting J, and I'm just kind of powering through the recent blog posts that people have done within this community. And if I turn this back, oh, that was a bad link. If I close this back again, let me open this up again. You can see the ones that I've read now are no longer bold. So this gives me a visual clue about the blog post that I reviewed. So this quick way, I can sort of come in and read very quickly what people are doing within a community in one interface. It's like headlines, and then there's some problems with our web server now, but if I clicked any of these links, like on the DML website, I could actually go out to the site if I wanted to comment on Mr. Slater's parrot. But within the reader interface is a way for me to quickly scan and just quickly read what people have written, so I get their complete blog post and if I want to, I can actually go out. But this is the best way to sort of manage a large volume of blogs that you're trying to read at the same time. So next week I will set up a demo. I was sort of set up to do it this week, but I didn't. I failed on my planning. Was hoping for people to drop in. It's kind of lonely. I'm like the Maytag blog repairman here. Ken came on and kept me company. Paul's like just listening and give me some chats, which is nice. I'm all for that. But it'd sure be nice to have some people in the garage. I guess it's time to tune out. So thanks for the handful of people who joined in. Ken for popping in. Paul for listening, and look for announcement probably soon, and I'll see about doing this next week. If you have any questions, again, on the DML Commons site, I'm answering them in the forum link on the right. Inside the DML forums is a Blog Talk Garage. Just answered Laura Ritchie's question about domain hosting, and so that's another place where you can answer questions, and I'm here to help, just trying to do what I can to help you with the mostly the mechanic side, but also any of the conceptual sides of blogging. I have like a billion years experience now. I've been blogging since 2003, so I've been around the bend a few times with the blogs and hardly know anything, so I'm still learning this stuff. But that's it. So long from the Blog Talk Garage. I gotta go finish my taxes. That's not fun. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Ken, and thanks for everybody else who is listening. And go out there and blog like my brother and sister. Bye.